Welcome back. You're watching KTN Business Today. And before we took the break, we are talking about renewable energy. And we continue with the conversation. Just picking off from your first answer, talking about the conference. Right now, deployment of renewable energy in Africa is still sort of depressed. We are not seeing it being embraced as it should be in a time where there's a huge demand for energy across the continent.
No, I think the deployment is made of rules, is made of process, and I think that's where the African continent must work. I think there is a great opportunity because there is the resource. You have geothermal, especially in Kenya. You have geothermal, you have wind, you have solar, and you need the resource at the base of any development for renewable. So you have that. Mm-hmm. So that's very, very important. Is the first part. You have economic growth. So you need new power plants, you need new source of energy. So the two elements together make it a very attractive place for countries, global countries like Enel Green Power, of which I'm part. And I think it's very good. I think the main elements that came out, even in the conference in the morning, were exactly, today the renewables started because of an environmental issue, which is still true. It's good for the environment.
Yes.
But today is not only that. Today is the most competitive source of energy. So basically, by going ahead with the renewables, what you can achieve is to reduce the cost of energy for the industry. So this brings along new development in the industry, for the families. So it's an increase of well-being. So this kind of framework really creates the opportunity to develop renewable in countries like Kenya.
All right. And looking at Kenya right now, we're undertaking heavy investments in solar energy, wind power, and geothermal as well. Are there opportunities for companies like Ellen, your company, to invest here in the country?
Well, we have opened an office 4 years ago here in Nairobi, and we really think there is an opportunity. So what is companies like Enel Green Power need in order to invest? And I think the good thing is that the need of Enel Green Power are very close to the need of the country. Because in order to make sure that the investment program is done, you need to attract investors. How do you attract investors? I mean, this is the main question that a country should ask themselves. How to attract investors? Because if you manage to get a lot of players in the country, you are sure that you will do solar, you will do geothermal, and you will do wind. What is the main aspect for companies like mine in order to make a step forward? I think just keep it simple. My colleagues, I'm specifically working on the development of Africa, but I have a colleague working in South America, I have a colleague working for Asia, for Europe. So we all look for the best opportunity to pick and go ahead.
All right.
And when you see things simple, clear, transparent, and with a good planning, that's for us the best opportunity, where we want to invest, and we're sure that we will a good service for my company, but a good service also for the country.
And do you feel we need to increase the number of incentives to allow more people to invest in green energy? Because if you look at the Kenyan energy mix, hydropower takes a big chunk of what we generate as a country. Of course, geothermal is also coming in strongly. How do we make the residents and the locals to be able to embrace this source of energy?
In terms of hydro and geothermal, clearly the cost of energy is very dependent on the project, because it's specifically how much civil works you need to do, what is the specific of the project. But for example, nowadays, the most competitive energy comes from solar and comes from wind, which is very straightforward, very simple. You get very low prices, much lower prices of the cost of energy of what today the Kenyans are paying. So, to answer your question, they don't need to be subsidized. There is no need to subsidize renewables. What you need is to guarantee a clear process, a competitive process, because it's only competition that will bring to the country the best price.
Oh, yes.
That is the solution, because if you put in competition more players, more investors interested, the price goes down. And that's a benefit to the Kenyan people, because every penny that goes down in the offer, it'll be a penny transfer to the final consumer.
But the general perception is the return on investment for renewables takes much longer compared to the thermal power that many countries rely on?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say absolutely no. The difference is that with renewable, you have a stronger upfront investment, but then you have very low operation cost. While with the thermal generation, the problem is you have an upfront investment, but on top of that, you're always subject to the international commodity market,
yes.
and prices could go down and up. So you are in some way subject to what's happened at worldwide level. With renewable, once you've done the investment, you know your cost of energy. And with that, you also increase your security of supply because you're using Kenyan resources, the Kenyan sun, the Kenyan wind, and nobody can take that away. So your security of supply in terms of energy is really improving.
Many thanks, Michael Pori, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
As in your language, they say gracias.
Grazie.